Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays on CBS Radio, YouTube Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. The Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning, Mr. Justin Waller.
Good morning. I don't know much, but I know one thing. MLB's competitive payroll tax, aka luxury tax. Joke. The rich get richer. It's not a deterrent. Dodgers are already 61 mil over. What's to stop them?
Hi, I'm Mac McGee, and I don't know much, but I know one thing. Sunisa Lee just won the gold, and it's headed to Auburn. She'll be the number one athlete in America who's going to cash in on the likeness that everyone keeps talking about. It's not going to be Alabama's quarterback. It's going to be Auburn's gymnast. You can take that to the bank. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Well, if you stand and block the screen, you may just lose your life. And that goes for all 30 friends and 30 friends' wives.
Hey, howdy, hi. Top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. Mac McGee sitting alongside Justin Waller. Justin, how the hell are you today, sir?
Butthurt, if you can't tell by my intro. Man, if Scherzer and Turner to the Dodgers, if this officially lands, I mean, I feel like it's already official, but it's the teams haven't noted it yet. But wow.
It is an arms race between the New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers. You know what they all said? They said, yeah, that's cute, that first 100 games y'all played, but now it's time to get serious. That's what it feels like. So many moves have already been made. We have so many guys that are still going to be moved today. I still think Berrios gets moved. I think you get a lot of guys. I saw a rumor Pineda to the Braves. Why the hell do we want Michael Pineda? Our starting pitching's fine.
I can't ask questions about the Braves anymore. I don't know. I was so excited about the winning the series against the Mets, and then my heart just sunk as the Washington Nationals traded off their entire team.
Yeah, they sent Schwarber to the Red Sox for people that missed that. He's still on the IL, but he's supposed to be coming off in about a week or so. So we'll see what happens there. You've got they sent Hudson to the Padres. I don't think the Padres are done either. I think the Padres are looking at what, it's funny about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. Ken Rosenthal was reporting Scherzer to the Padres. And then out of nowhere, that thing fell through. And it was John Heyman broke the fact that that's not a done deal yet. The Dodgers are still in the mix, blah, 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 blah. And they're going to end up getting Trey Turner and Max Scherzer.
Is Governor Newsom funneling COVID money? I mean, where is it coming from?
It's the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers are made of gold. They're Los Angeles. They're second biggest. It's not an accident that the two teams that are making the most noise are in the two largest media markets in
not to mention that Westbrook just became a Lakers as well. I mean, there's going to be nothing but elite athletes and actors left in Los Angeles.
I mean, I feel like that's what it's always been, right? They've made some bad choices, and for a long time, the Dodgers couldn't get out of their own way. They would waste money on guys that just didn't pan out. But I don't think that's going to be the case. Well, Scherzer's going to be a free agent, but Turner, they get him for the next year and a half, whatever you want to say. Considering how long the Dodgers will play this year, yeah, it'll be a year and a half. Makes you wonder what Corey Seager's wondering. He's like, dude, I'm coming off the IL. He was already taking swings. I don't know what in the world they're going to do with. I'm assuming they're going to move Turner because Turner has played other positions. So I'm assuming he's going to the outfield. So you're going to have an outfield of Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, and then whatever else they want to throw out there. Bellinger might go to first. But after that throw he made against the Giants the other day, I don't know if that's what you want to do. But did you see that? I think it was Tuesday night. Yeah. Wow. Man, I'll tell you what, it's just, there's so much going on and there's so many rumors that are going out there. The biggest shock that I had on that was that Josiah Gray was supposed to be the creme de la creme. They're supposed to be their guy. and they traded him. Now I get it. The general manager's probably like, I want to win championships. I'm not going to build my legacy on how good my or how good my starting rotation is in AAA. And somehow Anthopoulos hasn't gotten that memo in Atlanta, but they have figured it out. You've got a couple of guys who came from Tampa, who spent years in Tampa, that couldn't go get the toys they wanted to get, and now they have the access to it. They've got a really good farm system that they've built up, and they're starting to use it. And they're saying this is what the farm system's for. When you're on a team that takes it serious and wants to win, this is what the farm system's for. Yankees, this is what the farm system's for. I saw a bunch of Yankee haters laughing, say, "Oh, you're tearing up your entire farm system." Dude, it's what it's for. It's what it's for. They just added Rizzo and Gallo to an offense that has just been just putrid all year, not because they don't have talent, because they didn't have a left-handed bat, a left-handed presence. And I called
now.
Yeah, I called the Rizzo thing several weeks ago, and then about 2 or 3 days ago, my Yankee writer that I'm really close with, he told me, he said Rizzo is going to be a thing. I don't, and this is right before the Gallo thing. He said, I feel like we're going to land another guy, but I don't know if they're going to step him up. He said, but there's too much buzz about Rizzo. So when Gallo landed, and I don't remember what show it is because I do too many of these now, but I said something effective. It's not over. It's not over. I get a text about 4 hours after the trade from Timus with mad emojis. Yankees got Rizzo. Like, did you better worry about the fact they got Gallo too, man? And they're not done. My guy's telling me that they think they're going to make another move for another pitcher, and he believes they're going after starting pitching because they're going all in. This is Brian Cashman. He's got to be in his early 60s now, right, Justin? Somewhere in that area. I think he's looking as, I'm not going to be here forever. What the hell am I just hanging on for? What if I just make one good last run at this, try to get me another World Series, and maybe I ride off into the sunset in the near future? So there you go. That's pretty much what's going on. And like the programming note did during the Sports Flash, going to be popping up at 6 p.m. Eastern to do a reaction show to the MLB trade deadline. It officially ends at 4, but usually that next half hour to 45 minutes, things trickle in. So I wanted a full hour to be able to get all the information before I jumped on YouTube Live. And any of the guys that want to jump on, you're more than welcome. I just wasn't going to burden you with any of it. Y'all can hit me up off air or whatever. Let's go ahead and dive into the Longhorns and the Sooners as it is Oklahoma, Texas Day. I figured this is a perfect day to hit it since they have been trending in a big way. So Oklahoma, Texas are headed to the SEC. It's just a formality at this point that they have been given the invitation. So it's over. They're leaving the Big 12. They're supposed to accept it today. I mean, if they don't accept it, I'm gonna be like, what the hell was this all about? Right? It'd be like some girl, flirting with the guy at the bar just to get their boyfriend mad so that he'll commit to marriage. That's the only thing that could be, right?
Yeah, these two schools aren't pairing together to work together on any sort of contract negotiations to help each other. No, they're bouncing for the greater good of each individual school, and they're going to the big leagues.
Well, I guarantee you there was some backdoor dealings with the two of them. I bet they said, look, if one of us leaves, it could be an issue, but if we both leave, this thing's going to crumble. Right. And so I think they most definitely cahooted together. I think it's funny that the big, what is his name? I can't think of his name now, but the Big 12 commissioner is calling out ESPN, saying that ESPN is in cahoots and wanting to bust this up early because, dude, I mean, you're just grasping at straws at this point because, and as much as I would love to pile on ESPN, does ESPN want it to happen? Sure they do, but I'm not going to sit here and believe that they have anything to do with any of this, right? And so, the they cover they have contracts with the Big 12. So it's not like this helps him that in that kind of way. Now, the fact that they have the SEC network, that helps them. And
I mean, Texas already has its network. I mean, unless they just walked in and said, "Hey, would you like the OU network?" Come on. I mean, I don't know how much really.
how can they get rid of that Longhorn network, by the way? That thing's stupid. Have you ever tried to get it? It's like an additional price. It's an additional price to what you're already paying for ESPN and ESPN Plus and all that junk. I've tried to flip over there when I'm bored. Like, I don't even remember what season it was. Hell, it could have been football, but it may have been baseball season. I was like, okay, Texas, I haven't seen them playing a while. It's something. They're like, oh, you don't have access to this. I'm like, I'm giving you like $6,000 a month. I have to give you another $7 for the freaking Longhorn network. I bet only your diehards are members of that junk.
Yeah, I don't even know that I've ever even looked for it or tried to have it. But
I feel like that crumbles because I don't think you can have that Longhorn network and the SEC network coexist, right? Because let's say the Longhorns are playing whatever sport, they can't have exclusive rights when the SEC network's sitting right there.
Oh, absolutely. And because if that happens, then we're going to have the Crimson Tide network, and I can't handle that. I mean, we can't have individualized networks. That's not happening.
Oh man, then get into that where you're like,
oh no.
You have to have 57 streaming options to be able to watch your college football teams this fall. Well, wait a minute, I've got the Seminole network, yeah, but they're on the road, bro. So you got to buy the Tulane network this week. Oh man. It turned into a bunch of junk. It'll come full circle, and I'll be back watching the NBA somehow. I give up. I can't go broke. All right, let's start off with the Texas Longhorns because they got the coaching change, and this is a full-blown rebuild. By the way, Steve Sarkisian came into this in the right time, didn't he? Because
don't tell me he didn't know what was happening.
Something, yeah, I guarantee you he had some kind of something going on. When he was hired, there were some backdoor discussions with some really, really strong bourbon, talking to some oil men about how, don't worry, you get over here, we're gonna get in that Southeast Conference. You're gonna get your shot at Saban. He's going to come into a team that's in a full-blown rebuild. There's going to be a lot of excitement because of what's going on what we just talked about. I think the expectations are zero for this first year, don't you?
Yeah, especially with Ellinger moving on. You don't really know if it's going to be Thompson or if they're going to have redshirt freshman Hudson Card come right out and compete from the get-go. So you're at a complete new system, new rebuild with Sarkisian. So I just don't expect with the underclassmen there that you're going to have someone pick up his offense instantly. So, yeah, first year's a pass. What that pass looks like in win and losses is probably up for debate. But I don't think there are any high expectations this first year. I think it's hit the SEC ground running. Hopefully, if that evolves in 2022, I don't think this will carry on to 25 like these contract they're carried into the Big 12 till 25. I don't think we'll see that. I think you'll see them come into the league sooner. So I think that's going to be the big push for Sarkisian, is have this team rebuilt and ready for that entry into the SEC.
How delusional is the Big 12 commissioner? Once again, he said that he fully expects the Longhorns and the Sooners to be in the Big 12 till the end of 2025. Yeah, okay, if you say so. Now the funny thing is they do return 14 starters, so it's not like the cupboard's absolutely bare. But it's like you said, they're replacing the quarterback. It's all going to come down to what Casey Thompson can do. But I'm not expecting a whole lot in that first year because new coach, et cetera, et cetera. So essentially what we're looking at is they got Louisville. They're going to play out of conference against Arkansas. By the way, that's going to be great to see that rivalry come back. when they go to the SEC. Texas, Arkansas, they're playing out of conference this year, but they don't typically play.
I'm showing it's at Arkansas. Do you have a neutral site on that game? Is that at Jerry's World, or are they playing actually, or are they going into Arkansas?
No, they play at Jerry's World against Oklahoma, but it is at Arkansas. So it must be a home and home series.
That makes it very interesting. I really like that. Well, I mean, it's going to be a home and home series every year now.
Right, exactly. Texas Tech, TC. I don't have to go through the entire Big Ten conference, but basically they play Rice at Arkansas and Louisiana out of conference. The rest is they play everyone in the Big 12 once. Their big stumbling blocks obviously is going to be Oklahoma. They're at TCU. We already talked about Arkansas. And you never know what you're going to get at West Virginia, but Iowa State, we did them on Wednesday. Whew. That team going to be good, man. That team going to be good. They need to strike while the iron's hot this year. Iowa State needs to get an acceptance to the Big Ten before Brock Purdy graduates and the whole thing falls apart. Iowa State needs to strike while the iron's hot because they're going to be a legitimate, not just Big 12, but playoff contender this year. So what do you have Texas at? I mean, I've got them circled at around 6-7 wins. What say you?
Yeah, 7-5 is where I was at. Just don't know. It's the big games: the Arkansas, Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Iowa State. That's the 4 that I have, and I just don't know when the switch flips on during the season for that offense to keep gelling and rolling. So I've got them picking up a 5th loss somewhere through there, aside from the 4 I just mentioned. Could be that West Virginia, late in November on the road. That could be. Weather could even be a factor. So that possibly could be the 5th that I'm going out and putting on a limb, but I don't see any more wins than that. I can't come up with an 8th anywhere up and down the schedule.
Yeah, I think if he makes the bowl game this year, he's done fine. Yeah. Now, if they go out there and really struggle, go 5-7, something like that, there's going to be some rumblings, but once again, it's his first year. You're going to have to be patient. And you also have to be willing to understand that you brought this guy in because you didn't like what Herman did. You brought this guy in, and you have to believe in his system, the way he goes. Keep him off the sauce, and he'll probably be all right. Oklahoma this year. Now, this team is much different than Texas. This team is expecting to compete for the Big 12 championship, the college football playoff. Now, they didn't make the playoffs for the first time in 4 years last year. So they're going to be ready to roll. You're hearing all the great things where Spencer Rattler's put on weight, but it's muscle. And he's talking about how he's, in great shape and blah, blah, blah. And everyone always says that, right? But Spencer Rattler rattled off 3,000 passing yards. He rattled off 28 touchdowns. And this isn't a 10-game season. Spencer Rattler did a hell of a number on Florida, but Florida had a lot of guys he didn't play. So they beat him, 55-20 in the
yeah. And then Jeremy Pruitt got caught with McDonald's bags, and all of his players transferred out to Oklahoma. So in comes Wanye Morris on that offensive line. Huge recruit there, and just not what you needed to add to that already stacked line. So he's going to be your left tackle, and then you add Eric Gray in the backfield that I've said for years was the best out of that 3-headed monster on Tennessee's backfield. For whatever reason, it didn't attribute a lot didn't attribute with Jeremy Pruitt, but that's a whole nother story. So I'm excited to see that that offense is going
they're going to have
elite.
Yeah, it's not just Gray, but then they get Kennedy Brooks back. He opted out because of COVID. For people who don't remember, he was really good in 2019. So they're going to add 2 elite running backs to this offense that already was scoring at will. I think everyone looked at last year was a down year for Oklahoma, and it was. But what I think a lot of people might have fell asleep at the wheel is after they dropped those first 2 games, the Kansas State game where Spencer Rattler struggled. He threw 3 interceptions. Essentially, that lost in the game. And they struggled at Iowa State, but I just talked about how good Iowa State's going to be. After that, they rattled off, 7-8 wins to finish the season. and we're playing elite football. I would have liked to have seen Florida at its strength with Kyle Pitts and Trask up against Oklahoma last year, because I would have liked to have seen that showdown. We didn't get it because they opted out, and I get that, and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to say this one more time. The bowl games need to move to August so we get some cool matchups, or we're going to lose the bowl games. Because once you expand the playoffs, the bowl games are going to get, the more you expand, the worse the bowl games are going to get if you don't put the bowl games in August. Where do you see Oklahoma? Do they win the Big 12? Is it, because it's essentially, for all intents and purposes, it's between them and Iowa State this year, and that game is in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, I've got them. It's hard for me to hand out a 12-0 season, so I'm gonna go 11-1. I figure there's a stumble somewhere. I don't know that it's Iowa State. Could be Texas. I mean, you never know in that matchup. I mean, it could be Oklahoma State at the end, but I've got them 11-1, winning the Big 12 and going to the playoff.
And of course, we hold the right to reserve our actual prediction on the week we do it. So we're gonna, right now, I'm right there. I've got them in the Big 12 championship game, but our actual prediction will come in about a month, because the last thing you're going to do is paint yourself in a corner and then Radler gets injured or something like that. But yeah, I think we're going to get a rematch of Iowa State Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship. That's another reason why you want to get the hell out of the Big 10, because you have to rematch whoever you play in the title game. You've already played them. There's no way around that. And it's really hard to beat a team twice. It really is. It doesn't matter who wins that Iowa State Oklahoma clash in late November. They're going to have to play each other in very early December. What's your walk-off of the day, sir?
Man, big weekend Olympic-wise. I know we got a great slate of baseball, but, man, swimming, gymnastics, track and field's cranked up. I think you got the basketball full and heavy. So it's a great weekend if you're into the Olympics, and go USA. See everybody on Monday.
All right, brother. Yeah, I'm excited for a lot of the Olympics. I think the swimming takes off big time this weekend, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
We saw some heats finals last night, but it's full and heavy the rest of the weekend. And track and field's cranked up. I'm really interested in it.
I know the men's gymnastics takes. I've never been able to watch men's gymnastics. Every time I see a guy who can flip around like that, I'm like, dude, be a man and go play football or baseball or something. Like, do something with that.
Only one I can watch is the rings, just because I'm in awe. I would just wish I could pull my body weight up like that, let alone hold it.
and I can't watch the dude on the pommel horse because all I do is cringe. Dude,
oh yeah, that's.
Watch out! Hey, watch out! You gotta rack yourself. See you Monday.
See you, buddy. You get some ice.
We'll be back in a flash on the Armchair Quarterbacks. Matt Carr's on the way. Triple decker bird.
We are live from the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. There's a sellout crowd, of course, a wild air of anticipation. The undefeated Chicago Bears are in town to meet the Miami Dolphins. There have been 3 undefeated teams in the NFL over the years. The Bears have a pair of them. The last to be undefeated were the 72 Dolphins. 14-0 regular season. They went to 17-0 with a victory over Washington in Super Bowl 7. The offensive set with Nat Moore in it, that was so successful in the first half, is on the field now for a 3rd down and 6. Duper, Moore, and Clayton. Out of the way. Into the arms of Clayton. Oh, and are things going right for the Dolphins tonight? 42-yard touchdown. Batted into the air at the line of scrimmage. This is vintage Monday Night Football. Dwight Stevenson remains the center, even though in pain with the right shoulder injury for the Dolphins. Marino gets the pressure, but he gets it to Nat Moore. And there are quarterbacks who bring magic to a football team. McMahon is a type of quarterback, a Bobby Lane, if you will. Pardon me, Joe, a Joe Namath, if you will. Final seconds ticking off. Bears will not go undefeated, but they have put life and a spark into football in general and Chicago in particular. What a victory for the Dolphins. And Dan Marino reigns supreme once again. Peyton on the night will wind up with 121 yards.
Armchair Quarterbacks Radio covers the whole SEC the whole season long.
Down. Here's Tua stepping back, loads up, looks long, throws, end zone, touchdown! Alabama! Devontae Smith! Touchdown, Alabama! And the Crimson Tide has once again ascended to the top of the college football mountain. Again, it's going to be Propel, Wing, and the kicker, Drew Alamo. LSU remains undefeated.
Passes away, penalty flag down. Lamar Thomas has got it. Lamar Thomas is on his way down the sideline. George Teague is after him and runs him down. Takes the ball away from him. Teague's got the ball.
Well, congratulations to the LSU Tigers, the 2008 BCS National Champion.
Armchair.
Okay. Please, not the Ashleys. Family emergency. Apparently it's so urgent they didn't even have time to think of a plausible excuse.
So where does that leave us?
Well, let's see. We have a third-rate caterer with a record. 2 lushes. A couple who think we're both nutcases. An Argentine wild child and Ross. Dinner is served.
Think I have caught a whiff of doubt. She always seems to find me out. I cannot lightly fib or scare. Fall out spells on.
Good morning.
Roughly times I come right out.
Welcome back here to the CBS Sports and YouTube Live Armchair Quarterbacks, and I hit the wrong button, so we don't get to dance. They're right next to each other. I go, what if I hit? I'm trying to hit. We'll dance next week, I guess. How are you, Mr. Matt?
Good, man. I always love hearing a good Frazier opening, so that was fine with me.
No, I meant the song. The song threw me anyway.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway.
No, doing good, man. Good to be back. I've been on a couple of weeks. Watched a little bit of the draft last night. Saw what I figured was going to happen.
I give you 1 week off, and you let freaking Russell Westbrook go to the Lakers.
Yeah. I heard that first through Bobby the Kid, actually. He was breaking news that to me yesterday.
I had heard that rumor actually for several weeks, but I always thought it was pie in the sky just because Westbrook's from the LA area. So I thought that had something to do with the rumor. I never would have thought that then again, I mean, the Wizards are stupid. So they got okay back in return. But
well, what's funny about it, they did this so they could build around Bill. He ain't going to be there.
No, if you're going to trade him, you got to trade Bradley Beal at this point.
Yeah.
You need to do a full-blown rebuild and just call it a day. Now, maybe you don't do it until the season starts so you get fans in the stands, right? You don't want to, go, well, here's Kuzma, and he's going to be on the front of our program. But
right.
When you hit the trade deadline next year, Beal's got to be gone.
Yeah.
I mean, if not long before that.
That's what they said. This is because they got to build young building pieces around Bill, and I'm like, I don't think so, Scooter.
I've never been so disappointed that a Florida State Seminole was drafted high. I wanted him to slide. He went number 4 to the Rockets. I wanted him to slide one more slot to Orlando. They ended up with Jalen Suggs, and that's great and all, but I'm never going to see a Houston Rocket basketball game.
Right.
Not until they get good, and that's a long project. So I'm disappointed that I won't be able to see Scotty Barnes play basketball because will ESPN even do one game of it? I doubt. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, the same thing with my favorite player in the draft is Davion Mitchell. I ain't gonna see any Kings basketball,
not intentionally.
Right.
If I'm watching a lot of Scotty Barnes and Houston Rockets basketball, it means the Texas State Police have finally got me. Because
that means you got suckered into buying the package again.
The Texas State Police have finally reeled me in and yeah, here's your 5x10 cell or whatever the hell the size they are, and to make it even worse, we're going to make you watch the NBA, and we're not going to let you watch real NBA. We're going to make you watch the Houston Rockets
and the Big Three.
Oh man.
We'll get to watch some Moses Moody.
Is that the new nickname of the Big 12? It's going to be the Big Three because only that'll all be left.
When does that become official? Do we have any date on that?
Today.
Okay.
So the Southeastern Conference voted unanimously last night to extend an invitation, and it's expected that today is the day that they accept it. Then
the invitation was to the pants party.
Yeah, and then there's even more rumors flying around because of some statements that were made that you could read between the lines. Tony and I talked a lot about this in the at the 8:00 show, Gators and Golf, but it looks like that the Southeastern Conference is going to go hot and heavy after Florida State and Clemson. And
are we getting rid of anybody?
No, they're talking about it eventually getting to a 20 team conference. So my best guess would be if they grab them, because I think North Carolina and Duke will stay in the ACC because they're more focused on basketball across the board anyways. I don't believe the Southeastern Conference will go after Miami, because Miami is even though they were great at one point, if you look at the big picture, they don't bring a lot to the table. Okay. They're not very good in any of the other sports, and they don't have the money that the state schools have. So I think if they go grab someone, the SEC, if they can convince Florida State and Clemson to leave the ACC, I think the logical move would be them to go hot and heavy after Notre Dame, and then you throw another team in there.
But does Notre Dame don't want to be in a conference
yet? But you start making these super conferences, because when this happens, I believe that the Pac-12 and Big 12 might unite. And if you have that, you can end up with two super conferences, which we talked about that for years on the show. That if dominoes fall the right way, we could end up with super conferences where you get like 24 in each. Now, that's a very real possibility, because you could have the Pac-12 combine forces with the Big 10, and I mean that's 26 teams right there.
But wouldn't you be trying to weed out some of the Vanderbilts and the Arkansas and the Kentuckys and whatnot?
Well, the problem is Vanderbilt's the only team in the Southeastern Conference that can read and write, so they kind of keep their GPA high enough. It's also the Nashville, Tennessee television market, right? So you have to look at the big picture on that. And then the other thing I would say is, because I know the average fan doesn't think like that, but that's what these commissioners are thinking about, are the television markets. That's the only thing that would possibly get Miami an invitation somewhere, is because they're in the Miami market, but that Miami market's already taken up with SEC territory if you have Florida State and Florida, right? So you would own the state of Florida. If you're the Southeastern Conference, you would own the state of Florida, having Florida State and Florida. You don't need Miami, because they have a very fickle fan base anyways. You have your diehard Hurricane fans like Brian, who watches the show quite a bit, and Steven, who's on other show. But most of your Miami Hurricane fans are very fickle. They have to be winning for you even to hear about them. And so they're a really small college. That's one of the things that people forget about Miami. They're a really small college, so they don't have the money and the power that the Florida States and the Floridas and the Tennessees and list goes on and on and on. So if they can't get Notre Dame, I think West Virginia would definitely be an option. And then maybe you end up bringing someone else from Texas, or maybe they go even crazier. Let's say if you say to hell with West Virginia and you say we're going to bring in the state of Kansas, because then that just broadens your broadcast base.
Right.
And then you also add two really good basketball schools. I think my heart of hearts has Kansas heading to the Big Ten.
I wouldn't. What? And you might. What if Cincinnati
I want to see this, by the way. A lot of people have asked. No, I would rather see 4 power conferences than 2 mega conferences.
Right. I would as well. But, I mean, Cincinnati's another team that's been on the rise. So they've been bouncing conferences for the last, over 10 years. So they might be.
But once again, they don't have. They're not a very big school, right?
Yeah.
Now, I agree with you. They've always been pretty good at basketball. They've been better at football, and that's great. But it's what can you bring to the party kind of thing, right? It's just like even when like MTSU was in their heyday and they were playing really good football, people were like, man, they ought to try to get into the SEC. Well, they don't want them because they've already got Nashville television market with Vanderbilt, right? So it really comes down to dollars and cents. And there is nothing in Jacksonville to try to bring people in. Jacksonville University is not something that they would give a crap about. So if the SEC has to expand to 20 and they get Florida State and Clemson, they could go West Virginia and maybe just pluck another ACC team. Maybe a Virginia Tech would want to roll in. But once again, that's not a very big market. Boston College would be interesting because if you get Boston College to come to the SEC, then now you've got the Northeast, right? So you could really screw the ACC over. You took Florida State, Clemson, and Boston College out of the ACC. They're like,
You have the whole East Coast.
they're like, can we just rename this to the North Carolina Conference? Because this is absurd. North Carolina plus Miami. Let's go.
We got this.
Anyways, we're gonna have the NBA free agency hits on Monday. I've been so confused by this sports calendar this year. Are we gonna get leaks and pre signings on Sunday like we've had in the past, or is it officially going to start on Monday? Do you know?
I have nothing. No, because like I said, I'm so used to being July 4th to be the day for everything.
Right, but even then you start seeing a leak on the 2nd and 3rd, right?
Right. So are you gonna see it over the weekend, or is it just gonna go full force on Monday? I don't know. I'm looking forward to it though. I still think. I mean, I don't even know if Boston had a pick last night in the draft. I know they did in the first round. I did not watch this. I watched the first 2 picks of the second round. But they've been awful quiet, so maybe that's good. Maybe that means they're going something big for John Collins or Jared Allen.
I'm showing that they only had 1 pick. I did not watch the draft. I
watched like a couple of picks. I turned it over there. I was watching the Olympics. I was watching the replays of the Olympics.
Yeah, I got finished with work. I usually finish work around 8:00. And normally what I do is that then I turn the volume up on the Braves game, or if me and the wife want to watch a show, then I just keep the volume muted. But the Braves played at noon, so that was out the window. And the Rays played at like 1 or 2 o'clock, so that was out the window. So I really didn't watch a whole lot of sports last night. What I decided to do, I was like, you know what? It's been a while. I didn't put a sporting event on.
Real quick, I forgot this happened, but are the Dodgers now a lock to win it all?
No, because the trade deadline's 4 p.m. and there's gonna be a lot of movement today.
Okay.
I'll tell you, it becomes a big player. It's getting kind of lost in the mix here because of what the Dodgers did. Dude, the New York Yankees just became a real player. Now, I don't think they're going to catch the Red Sox and the Rays. I think that's too much to ask with 60 games left to make that big of a jump. But they're going to get the wild card, and they get in the wild card. They've got Garrett Cole. Everyone's forgetting about the fact that Luis Severino is on the rebound and he's coming back. He should be back in a couple of weeks. So that's like having an ace. Okay. And there are heavy rumors they're going after a third pitcher. Now, whether it's Barrios or whether it's a lower tier guy, Kyle Gibson is still out there. The Rangers haven't really moved 2 of their biggest pieces. They've got Ian Kennedy, who's a phenomenal reliever. Atlanta Braves. And then Kyle Gibson, who's pitched incredibly this year, his ERA is barely over 2. He's gonna bring in a haul if someone. What the biggest surprise I had with that whole trade that happened with the Dodgers gave up their best prospect, and they said he was untouchable. They give their best prospect for one guy who's going to be a free agent and another guy who is going to be a free agent after next year. So Josiah Gray, just remember that name. He is a frontline starting pitcher. And so I think what happened with the Nationals is they said, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it. And so they're going to trade everybody. The only person they're going to keep is Juan Soto. Everyone else, that's anyone that you would want. I mean, you're not going to make a heavy trade for, their backup catcher, but they are talking about trading Yan Gomes. I mean, I woke up to a couple things this morning, and basically the hubbub is they're all gone by 4
Well, I just read this, and it's old news, but it's the Cubs trade Rizzo to the Yankees. I didn't know he was at the Yankees.
That's what I was just talking about.
Okay, yeah, I didn't.
They've got Rizzo and Gallo, 2 left-handed power bats that they just added to that lineup.
Yeah.
Now, look, here's the problem. You're probably not going to win the division, Yankee fans. So this could all go away in a one-game wild card play-in. Let's say they go up against Tampa, right? Or Boston, whoever. And they go up against a buzzsaw that night of a pitcher. This whole thing just falls apart. But the best chance anyone's going to have to beat the Dodgers now is to beat them in the first round or that wild card game. The Giants could somehow hold on for dear life. Maybe they could end up in the wild card. If they end up in the wild card, we could have an arms race with San Diego and LA today to fight for a wild card game. And I definitely think that's why the Dodgers made that move. Because they're looking at the big picture, and the big picture is this: they feel like most likely they could end up in that wild card game against the Padres, and the Padres go throw Yu Darvish out there, and Trevor Bauer is nowhere to be seen because he's been suspended or whatever the hell you call it, administrative leave. It's that's fancy talk for creepy, you creepy bastard, stay away from the team. Right now, Dodgers are 3 games out of first. San Diego's are 5.5 out of first, but they're running away with the wild card. Those 2 teams are likely to match up. Now, I think the Giants are going to make a move today. I'm hearing Chris Bryant.
I think he's gone.
Oh, he's definitely gone. I think the Giants get him. I think Javi Baez goes to the Mets, and I think the Mets will move for 1, maybe even 2 starting pitchers.
I know you didn't watch the All-Star game, but they were doing online, on-field line with Chris Bryant, like live action in the ear or whatever. He's like, I've been so lucky to play here. They're like, you've played every position for the Cubs. He's like, I've just loved this place. It's great. I'm like, he's gone.
He's out. Well, yeah, he's a free agent at the end of the year. So it's been a foregone conclusion that he's a lot of people thought these Rizzos and Bryants could be traded preseason. So they're just doing the inevitable because you would have gotten more for a Chris Bryant in March than you will now, because now it's just a 60-game run. But I think Chris Bryant fits well into the Giants because Evan Longoria is still injured. You can slide him at third. When Longoria comes back, you can put him in left field. The Giants need a bat. They flat out need a bat. Milwaukee isn't going to do big, crazy things. They got their bat in Escobar. But the Mets, their owner woke up this morning and he's getting outdone by the Yankees and he's getting outdone by the Dodgers. And for people who don't understand who their owner is, he's one of the richest men in the world. He bought the Mets, less than a year ago?
Yeah.
He's on Twitter a lot. He's always like, what do y'all think? I'm like, this is a great idea. Let's open up this can of worms. What does the drunk New York Met fan think? But the teams that are sitting there going, I don't know, man. It's the Braves and the Phillies, because the Mets are going to feel pressure to make trades because they are in first place. I think the Braves do anything. They're going to try to bolster their bullpen. this notion that they need a starting pitcher is stupid. They're loaded with young starting pitching. Now, I wouldn't mind seeing them trade one of the kids in the minors like Kyle Wright to go get a reliever, especially if they could find one or two with that they'll have for next year. But they were talking about Michael Pineda today. I'm like, the hell you want with that guy? You trade him to the Atlanta Braves. Of course, now this guy doesn't really know Braves, but he's a big time name in MLB. But this morning that was his tweet, and I was like, the hell do they want with him? Michael Pineda? Are you secretly just a Twins fan trying to get rid of him? He gets traded to the Braves. He goes to our bullpen. He's not starting over Charlie Moore. Now, that would be the one. If the Braves would have lost yesterday, they would have been 6 games out of first as opposed to 4 today. That was the one I was worried about. We had a 5-game series with the Mets. We won 3 out of 5, but had we lost 4 out of 5, be like 7 games out or whatever. I was expecting Charlie Morton to get moved, but I think they hold on to him now and just see. The Braves need a bat. Not a crazy bat. They'll add something you're like, we'll see if it works. And they need 2 relievers, but they probably won't get what we want because so many things have to go right and people have to stay healthy that mortgaging your future seems kind of stupid. They're gonna
you're 4 games out with what, say 60 games left. Yeah, let it ride, see what happens.
You've got a 3-game series to end the season at home against the New York Mets. If you're within 2 or 3 games, that's all you're trying to do is make up a couple of games over the next 60. So if you're within 2 or 3 games, then the ball is in your court. And you just have to assume the Phillies are going to implode because they always do. So, but yeah, that's where we sit right now. And they've got a tough series starting this weekend. Here come the Milwaukee Brewers. So it's just, if it's not one thing, it's another.
That'd be a good little series to watch. So I might try to keep up with some of that series this weekend.
Yeah, there are some good series. A low key one that I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to. The Astros travel to the Giants, and I think the Astros, they're still my favorite to go to the World Series in the American League. Because I do believe the Houston Astros will be active. That's a good series. And then in the American League, I think if there's 2 series you want to watch this weekend, it's Atlanta, Milwaukee, and Houston and San Fran. Boston and Tampa too. I forgot about that one. That one's got huge implications because they've got an 8.5 game lead on the Yankees, but Boston only has a 1.5 game lead on Tampa. And it's in Tampa. Tampa usually plays really well. If Tampa can take 2 of 3, they'll be sitting pretty come Monday morning. All right. Anything that you want to add about the NBA free agency? I mean, any kind of.
I think it's a
shot. Call your shot. What's going to happen Monday?
It's going to be weird with Brad Stevens at the helm now. I think he's going after John Collins. I'm trying to do what you did with Kemba Walker. I'm trying to just bring him here with just words alone. But that's what I'm looking forward to, man. Just he's restricted. He's a restricted free agent, so I would like to see him in Boston.
John Collins
or Jared Allen, man. I don't want any of the other. Nobody else really stands out to me.
What about any other splashy move?
For Boston or just in general?
In general.
Well, I mean, talks were DeMar DeRozan was going to the Lakers, so I don't know if that's still a thing after the Westbrook thing yesterday, but he pretty much said
no. I'd say that's a wrap.
I would say that as well, but he also said he don't care about money. He wants to win a championship. So
does Damian get moved?
According to me, I think yes. According to Bobby, the Portland fan he is, he says he's not. He's staying there. I really think he's just saying that because that's his boy.
Exactly. I mean, you can't listen to a Portland fan about whether he thinks that someone wants to leave Portland.
Right. I think
Has Bobby ever been to Portland?
I don't know.
He needs to go live in Portland and squalor for 1 year and tell us if he's still a Portland Trailblazers fan. he needs to go live in the autonomous zone and tell us if he still loves Portland.
But he said, I mean, I don't know. I think Dame, I would like to see Dame move. I mean, I like him watching Portland. I don't mind watching Portland basketball, but it's the same thing every year. See you later, second round. And it's just, I would like to see him. I'd like to see Dame in the finals. I just imagine what he could do in the finals. If he's a playoff guy.
We got Chris Paul's going to be a free agent. Kawhi Leonard.
He's staying with the Clippers.
I think he will too because of the knee injury. I think he's just going to say, you know what, screw this. I'll hit the free agency next year when I'm back strong.
Chris Paul will probably be gone somewhere, I would assume.
I don't know. I mean, he seemed like that he liked it in Phoenix. I don't know. That's an interesting one to me. You got a couple other guys that are
Mike Conley, Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, Conley, Lowry, DeMar DeRozan is an interesting one. Victor Oladipo, Tim Hardaway Jr. But
Oladipo, man, I feel bad. He's a great player. He's just injured.
I just don't have a great feeling, a great grasp on where these guys are going. I do think the Knicks are going to make a move. I think they're going to bring one guy in.
That could be a Kyle Lowry. That wouldn't surprise me.
I think that's what they need. I think they need Lowry or DeRozan. They need somebody to put the ball in the basket that has veteran leadership. Victor Oladipo is very interesting to me, depending on what he would possibly want. Dude, I'd love to see him in green and white.
I like it. One of my favorite. He's been hurt for the last 3 years.
I know, and that's the problem. Curious to see what happens with Hardaway, Dragic. Who was the other guy that I was like, JJ Redick. Well, I know he's up there in years, but he could be someone that could be added to a team to make them a little more formidable.
I mean, if you're going to go
call my shot, you know what? I'm calling my shot. Kelly Olynyk's coming back to Boston. That's the big signing.
Duncan Robinson, Gary Trent Jr. I mean, if you're going to, Duncan Robinson's a great 3-point outside presence. If you're wanting JJ Redick, go ahead and get Duncan Robinson then.
Dude, you are getting so old. Do you realize Andre Iguodala is 37?
NBA Finals MVP. That's the biggest, dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Do you remember that when he won that?
Yeah.
LeBron scored like 37, 10, and 12, and he was guarding, but they won, and they gave it to him.
I don't know. That was one of those teams that there really wasn't a. But you're a big. The hell's his name? I'm drawing a blank. You're a big homer for. No, Curry. Curry.
Yes, I am.
Because I saw what rumor was it that I saw? It didn't happen, but something happened. There was a rumor going on about. They were saying. Hasn't happened yet. The kid they're trying to run out of Philadelphia.
Simmons
To the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, but they wanted the new center, the rookie. They wanted Wiggins. They wanted like 2 picks. I mean, it was a ridiculous offer for. It was Wiseman, Wiggins, a couple of draft picks.
Why wouldn't you just say, hey, even Steven, give us Wiseman? That gives us a backup plan when his knee blows out, when Embiid's knee blows out 7 times next year.
Right.
It's bound to happen.
Ooh. I think, man, Golden State's. I need to stop talking about them because every time I do, somebody's out for the year. But I think they are back next year.
Breaking news: ESPN's announcing that Draymond Green is retiring.
After running into Klay Thompson on a moped. That would be my luck.
He is currently being chased by police after he murdered Steph Curry.
The Tokyo Police.
On foot.
And he has a bad ankle.
Exactly. It's time to turn back. Time to get the hell out of here before we go on and on and on and on and on. I am looking forward to what is, well, you know what, that'll be my walk off. How about that? Here we go. Boom. On this date, I can't believe that I can't believe that it's already July 30th, by the way. On this date, July 30th, I want to know how this happened. I can't find it. 1908, the Around the World Automobile race ends in Paris. Did it begin in Prague? Because how are cars going to do around the world automobile race in Paris, France in 1908, where cars could barely go, 30 miles without breaking down? I found that a really strange one. But on this date, 1932, the Summer Olympics opened in Los Angeles. First time that the Olympics were held in the United States. But before I got to that, I had to pick that one up because that one's just weird. Like, around the world? Was this like, was this back when like the people in France they hadn't gotten the news yet? They're still all, Christopher Columbus about it. The world's flat. We're going to go around the world. I'll race you to Spain. Okay. Birthdays.
It's your birthday today.
All right. Dead guy. This guy's a legend. Actually made it to 1975, which I didn't know that he lived that long. That's pretty impressive. Born in 1890. Casey Stengel. Ever heard of that guy? You never heard of Casey Stengel? Bad job. Baseball Hall of Fame manager for the Yankees, the Mets. He's the famous. First of all, he was a character. So he went to the Yankees and won several championships. Was hired by the Mets when they were an expansion team. They were a terrible expansion team, by the way. And he would get cameras in his face all the time. He famously said after his team had lost the day before, it had 5 errors. And they asked him, did he want to make a statement before they started asking questions? He goes, yeah, I got a statement. I said more of a question. He goes, can anybody in New York play this game? Straight line. Him and John McKay, the old Buccaneers coach, the best one-liners of coaching in professional sports history. Like if you had a Mount Rushmore of what coach speak, it would be Stengel for Major League Baseball, McKay for professional football, probably Bobby Bowden, his little quips that he would make in college football, and NBA. I don't know who it would be. There's never really been a colorful, funny type of coach. I know Pop thinks he's funny, but he's actually a dullard.
No, what's the brothers? The guy just got fired from Orlando.
Okay, maybe him. Yeah, maybe him.
Van Gundy.
Yeah, I feel like his brother who went into broadcasting would have been much more entertaining if he would have stayed in coaching. But he was smart. What's your walk-off for the day?
Looking forward to. There's some good young talent in the NBA. Looking forward to NBA start back again. Looking forward to Monday. We'll maybe know some next Friday. We'll know if Boston actually did anything or just doing what they do. The Olympics, like y'all were talking about last hour. I know you're big in the men's gymnastics, but I'm looking forward to swimming. So.
Did you say minions gymnastics?
Men's.
Dude, I would watch some midget gymnastics. Now that would be I'm gonna tell you right now, I would turn the Super Bowl off for midget gymnastics.
Men's gymnastics. Anyway, yeah, looking forward to some swimming. It is. I don't know if you've watched a lot of the swimming this year,
but I watch a crap ton of Olympics when it's on, and I actually, leading up several weeks leading up, I watch the Olympic Channel a lot.
Well, it's just this year
sports that we don't normally get to see.
It made me miss Michael Phelps. It was good that we've won a gold or two or whatever in swimming, but It's just I remember watching Phelps. Even if he was down, no matter what lap he was on, like if he was down, you knew he was going to come back and win. And these guys just don't have that pull away power. But it's still fun to watch, man. I love the Olympics.
Yeah, I love the swim race. I'm not big into the butterfly event because I'm like, would you just do it right? I'd be cheating like hell. You'd see me just. I don't care. I won. Everyone's gonna know who was actually the best. Yeah, I don't need your stupid medal. I won. But yeah, I let the women's gymnastics. I respect the men's gymnastics. I'm like, dude, you could be playing center field right now. What the hell are you doing? Be a man. It's just like the clip that I saw. I guess it was from the Eastbound and Down, but some guy's talking to the main character, wherever that guy's name was with the mullet, and he says, I do a lot of rock climbing, and basically the quip was when someone's telling you about CrossFit, and the guy, and he asked me, he goes, but I'm sure you're really familiar with all this, and he says, no, I'm not. He goes, I play real sports because I like to be the best at athletics. I like to prove that I can do a man sport. I don't do that other stuff. Maybe. My walk-off is I'm looking forward to the draft season. We are, I guess, 4 weeks away till I'm in Nashville, something like that.
I didn't realize it was a holiday weekend until like a week ago.
Well, that's the whole reason.
Got it.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're 5 weeks away from being there, but we're 4 weeks away from the YouTube After Dark draft, and I'm looking forward to that.
Oh God. After Dark.
Yeah, baby. All right, brother. We'll see you next week, and I'll see you before you know it, man. We're by the way, we got to find some folks to draft because they're all playing that it's Labor Day weekend card. I had to give your boy Steve a hard time, by the way.
Is Lacey going to be in that draft?
I had to give your boy Steve a hard time, by the way, because he shoots me a text after a couple of weeks of not letting me know if he's going to be, and he says, hey, it's Labor Day weekend, so we're actually going to go out of town that week and take advantage of going to East Tennessee. He said, got a chance to go somewhere, and we're going to take it, that kind of thing. And I said, so you picked Tennessee.
Dave McGee's coming in town to Nashville, and he's like, I'm going east.
And he goes, he laughed. He said, next year we're going to the beach. I said, Percy Priest Lake is not the damn beach, buddy. We'll see you, bud.
Later.
Friday, working stiffs. Everybody.
4, 3, 2, 1. Happy weekend!
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Can I get another cigarette, please? Can I get another cigarette, please? Yeah, I know.